comes to brunch, potatoes are often thought of as a side dish, an afterthought, second fiddle to everything else that's going on the plate. And today I want to change all that by showing you 3 of my favorite ways to prepare breakfast potatoes. We're getting started with some yummy, simple hash browns. Now, hash browns can be a little tricky to prepare, but they're actually simpler than you think as long as you follow a couple simple steps. So for this, I am using russet potatoes. I really think russet potatoes make the best hash browns, personally. All I'm going to do is start by peeling my potatoes and then grating them using the large holes in my box grater. Once you finish grating one potato, it's really important to make sure you put the potato immediately into some cold water, because what will end up happening is your potatoes will start to oxidize and they'll turn a sort of weird rust color. Once your potatoes have all been grated, you'll want to give them a good rinse to help remove some of the starches, and then it's time to drain them. First, you're going to drain them in a colander, and then you're going to squeeze all of the excess water out by pouring your potatoes into a kitchen towel and using some elbow grease to really squeeze them. And I mean squeeze. Like you won't have to go to the gym later kind of squeezing. Once you've squeezed all the moisture from your potatoes, it's time to take them to the stove. Now in this case, I am using a non-stick frying pan. If you want to go ahead and be a hero, you can use a cast iron skillet. But every time I have done this in my adult life, it has resulted in burnt hash browns. It is a bad scene. If you have some sort of magic technique for using a cast iron skillet to make hash browns that don't stick to the bottom, please, you can leave that in the comment section below because I would actually love to hear from you. So in this case, we're going to use a non-stick frying pan, and we are also going to use a secret ingredient, clarified butter. Now, if you've never clarified butter before, it's actually a really simple process. You just melt your butter in a small saucepan, then you just use a spoon and skim the milk solids, that white foam, off the top. What you end up with is this beautiful, flavorful clarified butter that you don't have to worry about burning. So I've got some clarified butter heating up in my skillet, and now it's time to add my potatoes. Your initial urge is going to be to stir this. Don't. You want to let it sit in a single layer for at least a few minutes or until it starts to get nice and golden brown on the bottom, and then you can start to toss it. In the meantime, since you'll have nothing else to do, you can season your potatoes. In this case, I'm adding a sprinkle of garlic powder, some salt and some pepper, and I'm also going to add some smoked paprika. But you can really season your potatoes any way you like. Some Greek seasoning would be great, or some Italian seasoning. It all depends on what you're serving them with. So we have patiently waited for these potatoes to start getting golden, and all of our patience has paid off. Look how awesome that is starting to look. The goal is to get it as golden on all the sides as it is on the bottom. After about another 5 minutes, your potatoes will be cooked through completely and have lots of nice crispy bits to enjoy. That means it's time to serve them. I like them served best with some fried eggs and a lovely mixed green salad. Next up in our potato party, we're making some crispy smashed potatoes. Now, these are twice cooked potatoes, so of course they end up getting nice and soft on the inside, but lovely and crispy on the outside. Trust me, they are worth the effort. Now we are getting started with some baby potatoes. In this case, I'm using a combination of yellow potatoes and red skin potatoes, but go ahead and use any kind of baby potatoes that make your heart happy. All we're going to do is boil these for between 15 and 20 minutes or until they're nice and tender. We're going to drain them and then run them under some cold water until they're cool to the touch. I'm going to pour my cooked potatoes out onto a baking sheet, and then it's time to get to smashing. The idea is just to create little potato smashes like so. And just remember, the more smashed they are, the more crispy bits they're going to have. Doesn't look like much at first. Trust me on this though, these will end up being your new favorite things. And then it's time to brush them with a little bit of olive oil. That olive oil is going to help them develop a nice crunchy skin and help all of our seasoning stick. You can really season these potatoes any way you like. In this case, I'm using some salt and some pepper, a little bit of garlic powder, some freshly grated Parmesan, and some fresh thyme. Then I'm going to put these babies in the oven at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for between 10 and 15 minutes or until they're nice and golden. I should warn you, these little bundles of crispy potato goodness are totally irresistible. So you're going to want to make sure to make enough for all of your guests to enjoy seconds. They make the perfect side dish for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and they also make a really yummy snack. Finally, on today's potato tribute, we are going to be breathing new life into one of the most lackluster leftovers, mashed potatoes. And what we're going to do is turn them into some unbelievably delicious potato pancakes. So I've got some leftover potatoes in a large mixing bowl, and to that I'm going to add some flour and some egg. This is going to help those potatoes bind together and create a nice pancake shape. Now, this is one of those recipes where you can really let your flavor imagination run wild because, of course, the base is so easy to add yummy flavors to. In this case, though, I'm keeping it really classic. I'm just going to add some shredded cheddar cheese, some finely diced green onion, and some cooked crumbled bacon. For seasoning, I'm using a little garlic powder, some pepper, and some salt. I'm going to mix all of this together, and then it's just a matter of rolling the mixture into a ball and flattening it into little pancakes. Now, if you find the dough is a little too wet to roll, no problem at all. Just add a few more tablespoons of flour and that should sort that out. All right, now it's time to get back to the stove and fry these beauties up. So I've got some oil heating up in my skillet over medium-high heat, and now it's just a matter of getting these beauties into the pan. What's so amazing about these beautiful little potato pancakes is that they stay nice and soft in the middle, but get crispy and golden all on the top. Forget the eggs Benny and the fancy French toast, just give me a big stack of potato pancakes and I am one happy lady. I like these best when they're served with a big dollop of sour cream and of course some more bacon and freshly chopped green onion. I really hope you guys enjoyed our potato tribute just in time, of course, for St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you. I hope you'll give some of these tasty recipes a try. The full recipes are in the description box below, so be sure to take a look there. And if you do give these a try, be sure to tweet or Instagram me a photo because I love seeing your creations. And if you are looking for even more yummy St. Patrick's Day recipes, you can check out these videos over here. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe because, of course, as always, there's lots more deliciousness where this came from.